Hey, Facebook. How are you guys doing out there today? This is Keira Polson, my co-host.
Hello,
you guys
hello.
will get to meet her in a second. And they can hear everything through the feed, so all of our listeners.
Perfect.
They can listen to all of our interviews through the feed there, which is great. But
Wonderful.
Voice America will only hear when we start the show. They won't hear us on break, but Facebook will hear when we're talking with them on break. So they hear the whole hour.
Okay.
Plus.
I love it.
They get all the goods. Yep.
All right. Well,
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Thanks, Monk.
no problem. All right. And we're just about 11 seconds here, and then we'll get started.
You want to probably put it in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a pen there to kind of mark up your paper if you want to make notes, because I'm
Alrighty.
constantly making notes. All right. And then I just got to make sure. And we're starting right now. That was fast.
Welcome to Lead Up for Women. Speak Up to Lead Up with Colleen Biggs. Are you ready to lead without permission and take the steps needed to live your best life? Whether you want to start the business of your dreams
Are you ready?
or celebrate your present and
I'm
future
excited.
accomplishments, you're definitely in the
high
right
five.
place.
Here we go.
Now, here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Well, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And I guess that really depends on what time zone you're in. So I am so happy you joined us today on Speak Up to Lead Up. We are Lead Up for Women. And I have this beautiful special co-host. Again, my name is Colleen Biggs. For those listeners that listen to us every week, welcome back. For those of you that are new, welcome to the show. And I have a special co-host with me today, the beautiful Keira Polson. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
For everyone out on Facebook, and then for our listeners, if you haven't already, this is a chance for you to get a sneak peek inside of our studio. So you can get a sneak peek by going to our Facebook page, which is Lead Up for Women. All you have to do is click like, and then every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be on the radio, and you can physically see us inside the studio. Lucky you.
It's so fun.
So, Keira, I'm so glad you joined me today. Keira lives here in Arizona, and we had the opportunity to drive to the studio together today to get to know each other, which was wonderful. And Keira Polson is an intuitive, energetic healer, and she's the creator of the Awaken Program. And I'd love for her to just tell us a little bit about her. and what she
Thank
does.
you. Thank you, Colleen, for
you're
having
so
me.
welcome.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. I love having a co-host.
It's extraordinary to be in this room. I actually I host the Awaken podcast show, which means that I actually host it in my closet that's like 3 feet wide. So
awesome.
it's very exciting to be in an actual recording studio today. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
And I am an intuitive energetic healer, which means that I do energy work to help people with any physical issues or emotional issues, and we heal the body through the energy around their body. And I love this. I've been doing a lot of healing work most of my life. But one thing I found is that people would just keep coming back, which is fantastic, right? That's how businesses run. But I had this deeper feeling that people needed to learn how to heal their own selves. Like there was this power inside of them that they can actually awaken. And so I created a digital program called the Awaken Program, which is a 12-week digital course that people take the classes on their own. They learn about each individual chakra, and they learn a practice I called the Awaken practice, which is a daily 10-minute healing practice. And in this program, I have it be 6 months of group coaching calls so that every student gets extreme support, a community of healers, a community of people who want to wake up, and it is my favorite thing. It's so fun.
I love that you talk about waking up because that's something that I've referenced before on our show, that when I talk about all of a sudden one day when you realize, what the heck am I doing with my life, right? We have that wake-up call, I guess is what we call it. What am I doing with my life? Why am I sitting here in my car driving 50 minutes to a corporate office every day? Why am I not living my dream and doing what it is that I want to do? And I feel like we just wake up and we really see the world differently, and you realize the potential that you have and what your natural abilities are, and you're like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to live every day the way that I want to live it, like by waking up. And I love that you offer support, just as Lead Up for Women does, for them to really understand how to walk through that process of awakening.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, and that's really my whole message is about awakening. I also wrote a book. I published it a year ago tomorrow. So it's,
No way.
yeah, it's very
Congratulations.
exciting that it's been a full year. It's called The Hidden Gifts Within the Trauma of Sexual Abuse, because I am such a believer that there is hidden gifts even inside the worst trauma possible. That's my background. I was a survivor. I am a survivor. And I have found so many gifts in the healing. And so I am such a believer of sharing that when we wake up to our gifts, we actually begin to heal and we begin to awaken our most important purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a lot of trauma to go through. And I'm so glad that there's support out there for women that are dealing through just understanding how to live life with a past that wasn't chosen for them.
Yes.
And how to move forward and feel whole and complete and confident and beautiful
I love
and
that.
loved and, worthy.
Yeah.
I when I'm working with women one-on-one and we're coaching, I talk a lot about I am. I'll have them write on sticky notes different things based on who they are, of reminding themselves how worthy they are or that they are organized. So if someone says, I'm not organized over and over and over again, I'm like, well, you're not, because you keep telling yourself you're not, So them understanding that, again, I'm from a very abusive family. My father was very abusive and, again, not a choice. And, it took a long time for me to feel worthy. And to break that cycle. I kept dating abusive men. What the heck is that about? We just continue these cycles. And thank you so much for being here and joining us today. And we're going to have Keira back because she has so much to offer us. And you will see her in future shows. So that's a teaser, because now that all of her 5 children are in school, she's free on Wednesday mornings to come join us in the studio.
It's like a party.
Yes,
it's like a party
it's
right now.
going to be. And Keira, thank you for being here. And we're going to hear more from you. And thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. We'll have all of Keira's information. She's going to stay with us through the whole show. But at the end of the show on Facebook, I will put all of the information. Those on Voice America or listening on iTunes or any of the downloads, you guys can see all of the bios and the photos and be able to reach all of our guests on the show today. But on Facebook, I will load all of the information that she just shared with us so that we have that. And I'd like to welcome Martha and Renee and Clary and Jen and everyone out there that's joining us today. You guys are awesome, and we're so excited that you are here joining us today. We are live in the studio from Tempe. I guess it's Tempe, Phoenix. I think it's considered Phoenix. We're up here by the Sky Harbor Airport. And we just got back from Columbus, which we were talking about before the show. And I have 2 beautiful ladies on the phone, Lauren and Lori. Are you joining us today on the show?
Yes.
Hey, ladies. How are you
Hey.
guys?
I'm so good. How are you?
So good. So I have Lauren Albrecht, and if I didn't say that right, I apologize. You can correct me, and Lori Parrott on the phone. And this was our smallest group of the luncheon, and I really loved it because it was very intimate. We generally have 20 to 40 women at a luncheon, and this one we had about 8. And what I loved about this small, beautiful, quaint little kitchen room is that we really had time to dive into real conversations that each person had something they were struggling with in corporate America or in their personal lives, transitioning. We talked a lot about how do you transition from work to home when you have small children and being present. So, ladies, I'd love to ask the question, what one thing did you take from the luncheon, and what would you recommend to anyone that was thinking about attending? And Lori, you can go ahead and go first, and then we'll switch over to Lauren real quick.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It was a last-minute ask from my new company to attend this, and I was very excited for the opportunity and to be able to go through it. And the biggest takeaway I actually had a couple, was you guys mentioned waking up, right? Mm-hmm. And identifying the things that light me up. So I loved when that was mentioned to me, because I am in an opportunity to start to identify what I'm going to do with the company, and the idea of being able to write down the things that light me up and the passion that I have, and being able to be in that place is a really great place, a good starting point, I feel like. So very excited, and, simple words, but felt really good to be able to put that down on paper and be able to start thinking about it. The other one I had was instead of saying I might or I could, I love the idea of stating it as when I do it, when I'm going to do it, how I'm going to do it. That was exciting for me as well, and just kind of a bit of a mind shift of not waiting, but starting to identify earlier.
Yeah. That's great, Lori. Thank you so much. And those were really great. Lori's got an awesome opportunity in front of her right now, and she's trailblazing as a first female at a management executive position in a company, and that's very exciting for her. And I'm just like overwhelmed with excitement for you, Lori, and I have all these like ideas in my head that we were just spitting out at the luncheon, and we're obviously trying to explain how awesome this opportunity is, and we are so excited for you, and we're the community standing behind you. So very excited, and thank you for sharing that, Lauren. Hey, girl.
Thank you for having me again. Hey, girl. One thing, I love these types of events because it's almost like a reminder or a refresher. I've always tried to be, confident and a leader, and remind myself that I can do anything. The way I was raised, I was told that. But sometimes, you get busy. You can get in your head. It's great to have events like this as a refresher and a reminder. One thing I really took away from was the photo you put up of 6-year-old me.
Yeah.
6-year-old me wanted to be a superstar. I wanted to be the next Mia Hamm. I was 10 years old watching the 1999 Women's World Cup as a young soccer player, and I wanted to be a professional soccer player. That's what I would have told you at that age. And it was great having a reminder that you can still be whatever you want to be, and you have to manifest that for yourself. So it brought me back to 10-year-old Lauren watching the World Cup. And I don't know if you remember, there was a Gatorade commercial where Mia Hamm was playing Michael Jordan in sports to the song, Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better.
Yeah.
And that resonated with me, and it empowered me as a young female. And this luncheon kind of brought me back to that moment. And it was really inspiring. So thank you for the opportunity. You do a really good job of energizing people, yet being vulnerable. And that really helped the conversation in the room open up and be honest. And it was a lot of great feedback, a really good dynamic in the group.
Oh, good. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, too, for everything that you shared during the luncheon. You shared stories of challenges that you had gone through, and you also were very vulnerable. And like we discussed, if for us to be able to build our strength, we do have to be able to be vulnerable in our lives, because I always thought vulnerability was weakness. That's why I wasn't vulnerable. Kept the shell up, right? We talked about the shell. That doesn't help you. Staying behind the shell doesn't help you. Turning the handle and stepping out, and understanding that it's us who has the choice to turn the handle, to step out, and to let the world see us for who we really are. That's when we're able to really grow and learn and live our, tap into our greatest power, which is what we talk about, our invisible superpowers, because we've all got them. And we've all seen what yours, Lauren, and what Lori's is for sure, because the two of you have been given great opportunities at the companies that you work for, and without you obviously have shown these companies what your invisible superpowers are, and they believe in you. Especially Lori, look at this opportunity you have, and Lauren, they believed in you so much you didn't even believe in yourself, and then you were able to accomplish it. And now you're teaching other people how to sit down and create their goals and their outlooks for the year. So it's amazing. And I'm so thankful to have met both of you. And Lauren, I will see you this weekend in Louisville, Kentucky. We're both going to an event there, so I will see you there. And Lori, we're scheduled to talk again next week.
Yes. That's right.
So I'm really excited. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you for coming to that wonderful, beautiful room, the kitchen that hosted us there for the time that we spent together for those 3 hours. It was really wonderful. So thanks again. And if you ladies want to stay on the phone and listen to full conversations, you can, or you can hop off at any point. That's really up to you. But thanks again for joining us.
Sounds good. Thank you, Colleen.
Hey, you're so welcome. See you guys soon. And just a reminder for all of our listeners on the phone, we do have monthly luncheons, and you can find those at leadupforwomen.com/events. Our photographer just stepped into the room, so Keira's looking around like, who just stepped into the room here? My husband, Robert Biggs, owns Robert Worth Films and Robert Worth Photography and Phoenix Drone Pros, and so he does all the videography for Lead Up for Women. So I'll give him a little plug there for all the work he does for us. We have our August 13th Teaching Tuesday webinar coming up. All you have to do is go to, you can go to Facebook, and you can find it there at Lead Up for Women, or you can go out and you can go to leadupforwomen.com/events. The webinar is the first one to show up. It's a free RSVP. Feel free to go out there and sign up. We have Dr. Lori Monaco. The subject of our next webinar is, Does Size Matter? Okay. Everybody get your brains out of the gutter there. She's going to be hosting an entire hour workshop, and she's talking about what's the size of your excuses, what's the size of your butts, what's the size of your integrity. It's going to be a really, really, really awesome webinar. Can't wait for it. It's free, and then we load them up on the website for our members to be able to see those. So if you're not yet a member of Lead Up for Women, it's very easy. You just click on Join the Movement or Membership when you're out on leadupforwomen.com. So we hope that you join so you can have access to all the awesome benefits that our members have. And then we're going on another luncheon August 19th in Nashville, Tennessee. And that's going to be at the Scarrett Bennett Center. It is absolutely the most beautiful center. It's got to be hundreds of years old. It's all red brick, super beautiful. And we're going to have Dr. Patricia Bagsby, who is our guest today. And we're going to be talking to her next. She's the Vice President of Organizational Consulting at Psychological Associates. And we're going to have Meredith Townsend Howard, who is the president and CEO of Life Source Training School. She's an advocate for Talk Meredith, and she's also going to be on our radio show in a couple of weeks. But later in the show, we also have Jen Duplessis joining us, and I'm super excited to be talking with her as well. She's the founder of Kinetic Spark Consulting. She's an international speaker, travels around with Les Brown Jr., super impressive. Can't wait to speak to her in the third segment. So we are going to introduce very quickly Dr. Patricia Bagsby before we go to break. Are you there, girlfriend?
I'm here.
Hey, do you want me to call you Trisha or Patricia? Or Trish?
Trisha.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll go with Trisha. I figure we've talked enough on the phone. Maybe we can be considered old friends, and we just, instead of calling you Dr. Patricia Bagsby, we can just go with Trisha. Perfect.
Oh, yes.
Thanks
absolutely.
for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to be getting into your segment in just a few minutes, but I wanted to introduce you quickly before we went to break so that all of our listeners will definitely stick around and come back for the next segment. So those of you that are listening and those of you that are on Facebook, hang out because we're going to be back in just 2 minutes so we can interview Dr. Patricia Bagsby. See you in a minute.
All right, perfect. Good job. All clear.
Thanks. Okay, so we are off the air for Voice America. Awesome job. And I want to say hi to all of our listeners out there. Elizabeth joined us. Bettina joined us. Glenn joined us. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. All the information we're talking about today, all the contact information that we're being given, we are going to have that all available on Facebook after. And how's it going today, Trish?
Pretty good. How
Yeah?
are you?
I'm good. I'm going to show all of our Facebook friends real quick a cutie patootie little photo of you that I'm holding up for them. You think they can see that okay? I think they can. So Patricia's just the sweetest little thing. And I want you to share a little bit about your story, because talking with you on the phone, it was just an amazing, I think we talked for an hour and a half or something the first time we talked. We are so engaged with everything that you're doing and supports what Lead Up for Women is and what our movement is and what we do. And we're excited to be speaking with you today. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm so grateful for you and all the work that you're doing and for this organization. And to be a part of all of this is really, I know it's been motivating me for the last couple weeks knowing we were going to talk again.
Good. I know when you, if you don't have something regularly that you're doing that's, enhancing other people's lives, or if you're doing things behind the scenes and you can't really see how your work is affecting others, I can see how that can be, it can give you a pause to feel that you're not maybe feeling the effects of really what your work is doing out there. So I wanted to dive into your work today when we get back from break, and that'll be one of the first things we dive into, because what you're doing is so awesome.
Great. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so we'll come back here in about 12 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
We do a wider one with the logo. RocketEmpowerment.com.
Thanks. All right, we're coming back now, Facebook. Give us just a minute.
You are
Robert,
listening
this is
to
Keira.
Lead Up
Keira,
for
this
Women.
is Robert.
Speak up to lead up. To reach the show today, please call 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Hey there, listeners. You are listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I'd like to welcome you back. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I also have my beautiful special co-host guest today, Keira Polson.
Hello.
So she shared with us in the first segment about her healing work that she does and her digital programs that she has. We'll have all of those available on our Facebook page, so you will be able to have access to all of that. But we wanted to get back to Patricia Bagsby. Hey, Trish.
Hey, Colleen.
So she has a PhD and is the vice president of the organizational consulting. And I'd love to dive in a little bit to your story and tell all of our listeners how you support women, what your story is of how you got to you are, a little bit about your research. I know that's a lot in one sentence, but we'd love to learn more.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me again. My story, wow. That's like you said, there's a lot in that. High level, I can tell you how I got to where I am today was, we always have those things when we're growing up of you really gravitate towards something that really lights you from within. And for me, helping other people was my thing. So whether you needed somebody on your side, if you're the underdog, you needed somebody to cheer you on, that was always my thing. So when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for a career, I found psychology, and that really tapped into it. And then more specifically, eventually I found industrial organizational psychology, which is helping people achieve their fullest potential at work. And so as I started getting into this field and learning more about it, I ended up getting into the area of studying how people transition from their current work role into retirement. And so that's my area of research. That's what I studied in school, and then developed a program to help folks transition and help their successors step into their shoes and work on, just making that transition so that there's a sense of well-being and a sense of wholeness when you do step away from a full-time role. So about a year and a half ago, my journey landed me at Psychological Associates, which is the consulting firm that I'm at now. And I've continued this helping people trend with coaching. And specifically, Colleen, you and I talked about coaching women and coaching empowering them to not only achieve their what's the voice in your head say that keeps you from achieving that next level of success or even that next level of comfort. So helping through assessments and coaching, increasing self-awareness, increasing emotional intelligence so that women can really.
Absolutely. Yes, we talk about that all the time, blind spots. And you don't know what the blind spots are because you're blind to them, right?
Right. And we tend to go, oh, that's uncomfortable, right? So I don't want to lean into that information. Yeah. And, I usually will coach people and say, you want your loudest critic in the room. Yeah. And sometimes you're your loudest critic. And so there's what can you take out of the stories you're telling yourself? Yeah. And through the assessments and things that we do, we can also look at the data that's related to your personality or just your preferences, things that are just kind of innate to you, and put labels on those so that you can understand yourself a little bit more and you can figure out then what strategies do you need to build up to get out of your own way.
That was my next question. I was just going to ask you, how do you dive in and help women be able to identify, to be able to get unstuck and move forward? And you just talked about through a series of assessments. And so when, is this women that are, do they come to you? How does the process work that you have the ability to start working with the people that you work with?
Sometimes it's just referrals, so folks that I've known through various roles in my career or have coached even here in my role at Psychological Associates will refer their friends or colleagues. We have a list of wonderful clients at Psychological Associates that we've worked with for quite a while, some of them decades. So I get an opportunity to work with women in those organizations as well. And sometimes it's just, hey, I found you on the website, and I'll get a message through our website that says, can we talk?
Yeah, that's so great. And how many women would you say to this point in the years you've been doing that, how many lives have you changed? Do you even know the number?
Oh, my gosh.
Of how amazing it is?
I don't even know if I could put a number on it. And I would love to think I've changed lives, but, I think it's that collaborative process. I would say I get just as much out of doing this as I'm hoping somebody else does. Yeah. So I kind of think of it as, how much have I been able to grow my exposure to diverse women and people, and just, that's, I guess, more of what I'm thinking is how big has my circle gotten?
Yes, that's so wonderful.
And I think at this point, I think it's gotten pretty big, but it's, you can always have a further reach.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what we're always going for, is a further reach, right? So that's why we have that's why Keira has a podcast. That's why we have Voice America and a magazine and our website and our newsletters and our luncheons, is because every platform we want women to be able to have a voice, and we want to be able to get a further reach. And I'm sure it's thousands. And I was wondering if you had a specific story of working with someone that is something that you remember that was very impactful, that touched your life.
Yes. So I think I've had an opportunity to be impacted by so many remarkable women in my life. I can think of one particular instance where, if you want to put the technical labels on it, I was the coach in the situation. But through the conversations and getting to ask questions about perspectives with this particular woman who's a remarkable leader and, it's so connected with community and team and all of that, really, really dedicated to helping others, but in a way that's true and authentic to her core, her values. I can say that I just felt like I grew every time I would have a coaching conversation with her, and I was the coach.
Right? I love that.
Isn't that amazing?
Coaching the coach, when it's mutual and when you're working with someone and you're learning more sometimes that day on the conversation. Keira's laughing because I know she feels the same way.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like coaching is, too. We all have those answers inside of us, really. We all they're all there. It's just a matter of having somebody ask the right questions to pull out what it is and help us tap into what's already existing. Like Keira had mentioned about awakening, and it's so interesting how what you do with women, how Lead Up for Women provides a community, and what Keira does with, I don't know, you work with women and men, right?
I focus only on women.
Focus only on women.
Yeah.
And so with focusing only on women, the three of us, it's just amazing how aligned on what we're doing is and how much it takes. I look at how much support it takes, and this is the point I want to get across. And I love what you said, Trish, about you learning. You're never done learning. We're never done growing. We're never done learning. And you can't do it alone. If you didn't talk to anyone during the day or wasn't in teams that were doing some of this research that you were doing, how would you ever accomplish anything? It just takes a team and a community.
It does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that continuous improvement mindset,
Yeah.
like you're saying, if you think you've arrived, then you need to find the next thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no real arrival.
Right.
But I think you're right. This idea across all the different focuses and with Keira, what you're able to do with folks, I think that there's just this common thread of recognizing that people need support.
Yeah.
You can go through the world and find a critic around every corner. You can find one in your head. You can find negativity everywhere you go. And what I think is really empowers you and lifts you to that next level of greatness is really going into that vulnerability that you mentioned and being willing to have and give support to somebody, to give and receive feedback, to do so in a way that puts you in a place of safety and the other person in a place of safety, psychological safety. I think it's really the gift, the theme across all of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Keira.
I would love, well, first of all, nice to meet you, Trish. I'm super excited.
Nice to meet you, Keira.
I think what you're doing is it's phenomenal, and it's so, so needed in this world. And my question for you is, I feel like there's this weird space. I think there's two different spaces. One is women like me, where we just finished bearing our children, and maybe that was our dream forever, and then all of a sudden we're done having babies. Like, what do we do now? I feel like that's a similar transition to what you're talking about, where people are leaving their jobs that maybe this had been their dream, and now it's time to move on to the next section. That's really scary. Do you find that happens for women? They get really scared of the new section of their life?
I think it happens. Transitions are scary for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
I think how women handle experiencing that fear is maybe different or can show up differently. But exactly what you're describing, Keira, it's that whatever the transition is in your life, I love working with people who are brand new to leadership and it's their first time managing somebody, all the way through their careers to somebody who has built from the ground up an organization and they're ready to step away from it. And it doesn't matter which one of those phases you're in, that sense of change is coming and I can't predict what's happening next and I'm not sure I'm enough. It's a big theme that seems to come out in these transitions. So it could be, I'm not sure I'm going to be successful. I'm not sure I'm going to be happy. I'm not sure even just what tomorrow looks like. And as human beings, our first nature is to say, whoa, I don't want anything to change.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, and I want to interject real quick because Erin Joy was our speaker in Columbus, Ohio, and she brought up some research. And we've talked about this before in our luncheons, and the research is if a man is, say, 2% qualified for a position, he'll apply for it. A woman won't apply for the position unless she's at least 85 to 90% qualified.
Wow.
So is that interesting how, and I'm sure that my percentages are off, so everybody out there, please don't start sending hate mail. I will look at those percent. The whole idea of the percentages are the women won't apply unless they feel like they're almost 100% qualified, where a male can be under 10% and will still apply. So it just goes to show that in our minds, we feel like you had just said, and research shows, and you do so much research, Trish, that we just feel like we're not enough, and we're constantly trying to compare ourselves to others. That's why I always say, you're the only you that's ever been in the world. And by the way, you're the only you that will ever be in the world. So I don't know why you're trying to be like everyone else, because they're all taken, right? You got you. And so be the best version of you. And whatever that takes, what does that take to be the best version of you? Coaching?
Yeah.
Does it take going through the Awakening Program? Does it take having somebody there side by side that helps you really uncover where your blind spots are, what your skills are in your personality, and really help you navigate to what is your best path in life? And then really dig deep to ask the question, like we talked about, what did that 6-year-old want that was free to say whatever it is they wanted, that could play in the rain, yet we don't ever play in the rain anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Joy is, as Brene Brown talks about, one of the hardest feelings to have, because it's the scariest for people to feel pure joy. Mm. And that's what we want for all women out there, all three of us. Yeah. I mean, that's really what we're going for.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and since you brought up the joy thing, Brene Brown in one of our conversations went a little further to say, we're so uncomfortable with joy that we rehearse the tragedy that could happen that will take it away. And she gives the example of being a parent. So I have 4 kids, and so that really touched me very much.
We have a lot of children between us here, man.
We do.
Kira's got 5. I have 7. You have 4. Like, I don't know what's going on here.
Right. We have a lot of little people to influence here.
Yeah, we do. That's a lot.
Yeah, but I think we do that. You look at your kid and you're, oh my gosh, I'm just so joyful in this moment of this beautiful, perfect person. Yeah. And then how many of us go, oh my gosh, what if something happens to them?
Yeah.
Right. We're so uncomfortable with that vulnerable state of being joyful that we go to what could happen negatively. And we do that in our careers, too. We do that in every transition. Yeah. So it's that, how do you retrain your thinking? How do you reframe, catch it in the moment, and then put it in a positive spin when, like you said, the research says women, their self-evaluations when compared to men, we're just so much more harsh on ourselves.
Yeah. And we create life. We're so powerful. There's so much we can do. It's just amazing what we're able to do as women, but yet we still doubt ourselves. So that's definitely a great message for today, Trish. And I'm so glad you brought that up. We need to identify what our blind spots are. We need to be part of a community. We really need to really look to be part of a community. Work with somebody one-on-one. Find what lights you up, as Lori had said earlier, and we had talked a lot about that, and really live into physically and mentally and spiritually who you are. And it can be so gratifying. We're just all so scared.
Well, and I think I love the statistics of the 85, that we have to be 85% sure. And to me, it's just proof of what all 3 of us probably deeply believe in, which is that women have an extraordinary power. Yeah. Like extraordinary. And if they can even just dip their toes into it. Right. Like miracles and magic happen every time.
We just stand around the pool.
Right.
Right? We do. And watch the men swim, I guess, is what we're doing. I don't know.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, Tricia, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we go to break, I just want to be able to share some of your information on how everybody can reach you. And then, of course, I'll put that out on Facebook as well. But I'd love for the listeners that are listening on the podcast to know how they can reach you. So what is the best way for somebody to get in contact with you if they wanted to work with you directly?
Sure. So we've got the phone number here, 314-725-7771. Our website is q4solutions.com. And we've got a Facebook group if you want to send us a message that way.
Okay, and your Facebook is?
Psychological Associates.
Psychological Associates. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you again for joining us. It was such a wonderful time speaking with you, and I'm so glad you could be here with us today. And for all of our listeners out there and everybody out there on Facebook that's checking us out today that got to see your cutie patootie little photo, she's joining us in Nashville, Tennessee, and is going to be one of our panelists and speakers there. So when you want to get to learn more about Patricia and get to know her better, you can sign up and go out to Nashville in August 19th. You can show up at the Scarrett. What did I say? Was it the Scarrett Bennett? And just go out to Lead Up for Women /events and reserve and get your seat at the table before they're gone. So thanks, Tricia. It was great talking with
Colleen,
you today.
And so nice to meet you, Kira.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you next month. All right, you guys.
Yes, I can't wait to see you.
We are going to head to break, and when we come back, we are going to be speaking with Jen Duplessis. She's freaking awesome, and she is, again, the founder of Kinetic Spark Consulting. And when we get back, we are going to hear from her in the last segment. Stay with us. Talk to you in a minute.
All right, perfect. Great job. All
Thanks,
clear.
Mike.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out, I want to be, super respectful. So do you want me to just kind of, raise my finger if I have a question?
Yeah, just talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even have to do that. You're like, can I ask a question?
I don't want to interrupt you.
All right, Facebook. So we want to thank Rochelle. What's up, Rochelle? I'm so glad you're joining us today. Her and I were emailing super late last night. Don't email that late. Just get some rest. And thank you for all of our Facebook friends that are joining us out there. And we are going to be jumping on now with Jen. Hey, Jen, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, girl.
I'm excited.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We have a jam-packed day today that I am trying to get through, and it's actually flowed really well. So we're not quite back on the air yet. We have about another minute, but Facebook can hear our conversation right now. And of course, we we'll get your photo out there and all of your contact information from today's show out there. So that's awesome. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Of course. I can't wait. I'm watching you on Facebook too.
Oh, good. So there's a little
At
delay.
the same time.
Yeah, a little delay.
Yes, there
is. Yeah, and I didn't mention this one on the air. I haven't mentioned it on Facebook. I'm on my husband and I are actually doing this 3-day juice cleanse. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a shout out there, and I'll tag Juice from the Raw. This is the second time we've done this one. It's a really awesome juice cleanse. That doesn't mean we're not hungry. My husband texted me yesterday, can I have a cheeseburger now? Because I think I'm about ready for one. I was like, no, that's why we're doing this juice cleanse, because you eat too many cheeseburgers. But anyway, so I have my juice here. And so I'm advertising for their company. This is something that I love to do. I advertise for companies all the time and throw their products out there. But this is a really good one. So I still have 4 bottles to drink today. And then I can eat tomorrow. It's my 3rd day.
All right, Colleen coming back in about 10 seconds.
I know. I don't know why anyone does a juice cleanse, actually. So I haven't quite figured that out.
Now I want to.
Why did we do this to our bodies? Right. You will until the 2nd day, and you'll be like, I hate Colleen. Why did she influence me to do a juice cleanse?
It looks fun.
Yeah.
All right, send the feed your way.
All right. Thanks, Monk. Monk is so respectful. He's the sweetest person ever. Thank you, Monk.
You are listening to Lead Up
Never
for
likes
Women.
to interrupt.
Speak up to
Sweet
lead up.
Belinda.
To reach the show today,
So-
please call 1-888-346-9141.
Are you ready for this, Jen? We're gonna get started here in a second.
That's 1-888-346-9141.
Yep, I'm ready when you are.
Sweet.
You may also send an email to info@leadupforwomen.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Well, welcome back, listeners. You are still listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, and I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I'm joined by my special co-host today, Keira Polson.
Hello, friends.
There she is. And we're going to have her back in the studio because we love her so much, and she's so pretty. And I love having somebody pretty in the studio. It's a great balance.
It's very kind.
So we have Jen Duplessis on the phone. Jen, say hi to our listeners today.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
You are awesome. I can't talk enough about you, and you probably just got back from a speaking tour internationally. I know you were going internationally one of the last times we spoke, right?
Yes, I was going to Vancouver.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and tell...
international enough.
I agree. So tell all of our listeners a little bit about you and your story, because you and I got to drive in a car when I first met you, the very first day to learn about your story. So tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you got to doing what you do today.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for asking. Just like Tricia, I have to, do the high-level version of it because it's such a long story, and I think I'm probably the oldest on the call today as well. So
probably
it consumes a lot of years, several years. But, in a nutshell, my father, Keira, kind of like you, I think that all of us have different past that we bring with us, as we go along this road. I was not sexually abused. I was verbally abused by my mother as a result of my father being an alcoholic. And so, those obviously left some very strong tattoos on my limiting beliefs, for the majority of my life. But I've broken through most of those, which is really good. But generally what that did for me is it made me someone who was proving to everyone all the time, year in, year out, every day, that I was better than what they said I was going to turn out to be. And so I had an uncle. I'm one of 37 first cousins, so there are plenty of nicknames that were given to all of the cousins. But his nickname for me was Jenny who ain't got a penny. Oh. And he told me very explicitly when I was probably 7 or 9 that I would amount to really nothing. Everything that my dad was, I'd be an alcoholic, I'd be poor, I would be, the low person on the totem pole for the family. And, and it resonated with me. And I decided that, it's really an inside job in order for me to change that and not repeat history. And so that's what I did. I went out and I accomplished everything and anything for proving to everybody that I wasn't going to be that. And so that's where I got to where I am right now.
Wow. That's quite a flame that was lit early. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
it was lit really early.
So you started in mortgage lending when? When did you start that first career that you had?
Yeah. Well, I tell people 1983, but technically it was earlier than that because I was in DECA, when you went to school for half a day and you learned how to type and take shorthand because you were destined to be an administrative assistant or secretary for someone. And so for the second half of the day, I typed title policies, and so I technically have been in it for a little bit longer, but yeah, for 35 years, and last year in 2018, I transitioned. So I loved what Trish was talking about. I transitioned away from lending and into, full-time coaching, speaking, and podcasting.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And so you took your experience that you had from the mortgage lending because you actually started speaking for a real estate group. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was I didn't want to be like everybody else going out and selling and, begging for business. And so, I just decided that I would take my expertise and really where it sat back where it started was that I was an underwriter, and so I knew all the guidelines inside out and backwards, and I would see these loan officers going out and, making 3x the money I was, but I had all the knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have the sales experience, but I did know that I didn't want to talk to paper. I wanted to talk to people. And I, very much people person, and decided that, I would do it in the form that I would become a market influencer. And I would become a master at my craft and started speaking, almost 25 years ago, maybe even longer. And, so, I did that for years and years and years and became, in the top 0.003% of loan officers in the country.
That's amazing. And congratulations.
That manifested to the questions of how did you do it? Tell me what you do. And I couldn't answer all the questions. It was too time consuming. So I said, well, I'll answer all the questions through a podcast. Mm-hmm. And that's where that started. And it just sort of morphed into that, where I was being tugged and pulled into the direction that I was meant to be. And that's to help other people realize their success and, really balance their lifestyle with their business.
That's wonderful. So tell our listeners a little bit about your workshops and trainings that you do. What are the topics that you generally speak on or train to?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking that, too, because, I also want to explain that, while I was in mortgage lending, I've been coaching solopreneurs and sales professionals for many, many, many years. And so it's not just explicitly into that market. And I really have a soft spot for women in that particular space as well, because if you all have been talking about fulfillment and joy and self-sabotage that we have, right?
Yeah.
It's just become, this big passion for me. And I have 4 businesses, so I don't just have one, I have 4. And the only way to have 4 businesses and have the lifestyle that you desire, deserve, and want, right? I believe in creating a lifestyle business. And what that means is that identifying your passions and aligning your values in life. So if your family is really important, why are you working till 11 o'clock at night, right? Like you were just saying, someone just sent an email to you really late. And so if your family is really, really important, then you've got to get that in alignment with your values. And I feel that if, a life with values adds value everywhere in your life. So it could be your health. It could be working out. It could be your finances. It could be your business. And so what I really focus on is helping people who are struggling and can't figure out how come I can't get to that next level, to align their goals, align their values, build a lifestyle first, and then we'll create the business around it to fulfill it, rather than creating that business and climbing that crazy ladder of success and trying to squeeze your life in. And
that's so powerful.
It's so true.
Thank you.
So true.
It is. I mean, how many times have you been on the phone outside of a restaurant, walking and pacing, talking to someone, a client, while your family's creating memories inside without you?
Yesterday.
And I just had enough of it.
Oh, I feel like this is like something woke up on, I don't know, in my heart on Sunday, where I was like, oh my gosh, I've been running so fast to try and get somewhere so I could be with my kids more. And now I have to reverse it and be with my kids more and pray that it's just all going to work out.
That's so good.
Yeah, one of the things I say all the time is slow down to speed up instead of speeding up to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is that we have to be real clear on our goals so that we can work really hard in the time frame that we have allotted to work, so that we can go be with our family in the time frame that we've allotted to be with our family. And that I don't believe in balance. I just think if you look at a scale, you're 50-50.
Yeah.
If it's balanced, you're 50-50. You're kind of here and kind of there and not present.
Yeah, it's really about priority. So we talk a little bit about that, and we don't believe that there's exact balance to have everything exact. I mean, it's almost impossible. So you just really have to look at priorities. What are the most important priorities in your life? And that has to do with one of the first steps when you wake up with something on your heart. And Keira, I'm glad you said that, because many of us have it on our heart already, and we know where things in our lives aren't working. We know where we want to spend more of our time, and we don't act on it. And we have our intuition, our spirit keeps telling us what it is that we need to be doing. And just like Mel Robbins states, the 5-second rule, your intuition your instinct is going to tell you right away what decision you should be making for certain things and how you feel about a situation. And then within 5 seconds, everything in your being is going to try to talk you out of it. And so, it's such a short amount of time that we have. And Jen, I just love your support surrounding making your business work for you. And so owning your business instead of allowing your business owning you. So important to share that message. And when you're out there speaking, now you do speak with Les Brown. Are you still on the speaking circuit with him and his family?
Yeah, with Les Brown and Les Brown Jr., yeah, both of them. And, that's just one speaking circuit that I'm on, and we do these, I would just call them pop-ups.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're doing. Yeah, kind of what you're doing. You're just kind of popping up here, there, and yonder, and we're speaking on, a variety of different topics. And generally, my topic is overwhelm is not an option.
Right.
Because I do really focus on priority management, and having the quality of life that I, love so much. I mean, I'm kind of selfish with my time because it's my time.
Yeah,
right.
I love that. Now, before our show ends, we have a couple of minutes, and before our show ends, I just wanted to be able to make sure that all of our listeners that are out there on the podcast or Voice America or whatever means the 16 or 20 outlets out there that they're listening through, that they have contact information to reach you. So will you share that, Jen, with everyone currently that's on the podcast to be able to reach you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the best place to go, to get information on me is just jenduplessis.com, and I know you'll have the link for that, and you'll be able to reach out to me there. If someone would love to have a conversation about what they're struggling with, they can text strategy to 66866 and schedule themselves for a time to chat.
Strategy. You text strategy to 66866. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and it's jenduplessis.com, which is JenDuplessis.com. Perfect.
Correct.
All right. Well, Jen, thank you so much. Stay on the phone after we end the podcast because we'll talk to you for a couple seconds on Facebook. But I want to thank Jen for joining us today, and I want to thank all of our guests for joining us today. And I just want to end the show by letting you know that next week we have some amazing interviews as well. We're going to have Chantel McGuffin out of Ontario, Canada, the founder of Moms with a Plan, providing moms with a stay-at-home revenue. Yes. And Lori Richens is an author, speaker, and empowerment coach. She will be with us also. So tune in next week at 10 a.m. You guys have a wonderful week. Remember to be you and be strong and live the life the way you want it to be. We'll talk to you next week. Everyone have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
All right. Good job. We're all clear.
Thanks. I tried to make it out as fast as I could, Facebook. I knew it was ending. I was watching the screen, and I was like, he's going to end. And I got to get Jen's information out there. So, Jen, I will put it all up on Facebook. I just wanted to let you know that all the podcasters, I wanted to have them be able to at least reach out to you and have you have the opportunity to advertise. So thanks again for joining us today. It was wonderful. And I will look at the schedule, like I said, through email, and you and I will chat about a time that we can find for you to be at one of the luncheons. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I sent an email to you late last night or earlier today. Yeah. And Keira, I'm going to reach out to you. I'd love to interview you on.
Fabulous. I was just thinking I would love to have you on my podcast. I'm like, she needs to be on my podcast.
Awesome.
So we'll be in
let's make sure we connect.
Okay,
yeah. So
sure.
did you write down her contact information?
Okay, yeah, I wrote down her website.
So you have it, so you can reach out to her. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Jen, and I'm looking forward to being on your podcast, and I'm excited about that. And we'll get you at one of our next luncheons. So hopefully we can get you at either the September one or in October at that one.
Sounds good.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a
nice
great day.
To meet you.
You too. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Jen.
Bye.
All right, Facebook. So we are just going to go ahead and wrap up today, and we're going to say goodbye for now. But make sure you check back on our Facebook page so that you can get all of the information from all of our guests today. We will be posting that in just a few minutes. So, Keira, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
So wonderful.
Thank you.
I want to do this every week. Wait, I do this every week. You guys have to join us every week, and we're just going to keep bringing Keira back because she rocks. And it's so fun to have her in the studio.
Real fun. fun.
So thanks, Facebook. We're going to go ahead and stop the video for now, and then we will put all the information out there. So thanks for joining us.
Bye.
See you guys later. Bye.